Hi, I'm Kat. I play Sims and I built an autumnal cabin in Brindleton Bay. I had a couple of different attempts at the shape. I added a porch and then took most of it off. I just wanted a space where I could put the pumpkins more than anything else, and I put a little tiny back porch on as well. I gave it a chimney at the side and then I added a fairly simple roof. I didn't really get it the way I wanted first time, but I was just getting the general shape down and adding the columns and stuff, and then I went back to refine it a little bit. I used a lot of items from Seasons in this build and also from Cats and Dogs because that's the world it's in. I also downloaded a lot of custom content specifically for this build because I wanted it to be as autumnal as possible and I didn't really have as many items as I wanted in the game. I put a sliding glass door at the back that was actually from the free update a while ago for their birthday, and then I fixed up the roof to be a little bit more like I wanted it. I did decide to change the height of the walls, and then I put in a load of spandrels above the columns and put in a ton of windows from Seasons as well. Basically, everything actually did match the wood tones this time because I stuck mostly to one pack. I just gave it a base game texture for the roof and I gave it dark eaves, just something basic that wouldn't look bad with anything I put on the walls, and then a half wall trim on that chimney obviously. I gave the chimney a rocky texture from Growing Together, and then I used a similar looking base game flooring in the porches. I do wish I'd tried to match the concrete that was on the stairs, but I couldn't really bring myself to do it. I did end up using the reward event wallpaper out here, and I started landscaping as well. I started out with some big trees. I had some problems building on this lot because the trees at the front of it kept making us bounce up and down with the camera every time I was putting something in the front. So I had a hard time keeping the camera where I wanted it to be. I used the low lying bushes from Enchanted by Nature and I put some of the plants from Cats and Dogs in there as well. I did eventually go looking for some flowers in the right colours, but at first I couldn't really find anything that I liked for the autumn colour scheme. So I put a lot of thick greenery in and I briefly had some wildflowers, but they were purpley pink and I didn't really like that for the colour scheme I was going for. So I desperately tried to find anything red, yellow or orange that I could put down. But honestly the base game seemed a little bit limited in the flowers that I could get that would fit the autumn theme. I just had to fill in as many gaps as I possibly could, and I relied heavily on those Cats and Dogs plants in the end because they could fill a lot of space. The landscaping does end up looking a little bit repetitive just because I had to use the same 3 or 4 plants over and over and over again. But once I'd managed to fill those gaps, I got some terrain paint underneath everything. I put a terrain paint out the front of the house that was almost a similar stony texture to what was on the porch, and then I fenced in a big area for the yard space at the back. Once I'd sorted out the yard, I actually went and got myself a better mailbox. I wanted the Seasons one because there's like an autumny swatch on it with fallen leaves as the pattern, and then I actually managed to put an outdoor bin in as well that matched the texture of the porch. Because I hadn't managed to get landscaping in quite the right colours, I did get some flower boxes, and those immediately brought the right colours into the outside and made it more autumnal, so I quickly went in and did the floor plan. I made this build with either a single sim or a couple in mind. All I knew for sure when I went in was that I wanted it to be as autumn themed as possible, and I could have waited for Adventure Awaits to come out so that I had more cabin stuff to work with, but I just wanted to do it as soon as possible once the idea popped into my head. I got down some dark wood floors and a red tile in the bathroom. I used a lot of CC wallpaper here, and at first I put this kind of peachy tone on most of the walls, but then it didn't really match up to the orangey stuff I was using later on, so I did change it a bit. I used the Home Chef Hustle wallpaper in the little kitchen area, and then I put in some Enchanted by Nature counters as well because they fit the dark wood scheme. And the appliances are both from Growing Together. They've got really nice red swatches, so I thought they would be perfect for it. They've got gold accents which tie in really nice with the cabinets as well. And then for the dining table I got a really big one and I used the reclaimed wood one from the most recent rewards event. I tried putting down these cottage living chairs in a couple of different colours, but it ended up looking really Christmassy, so in the end I changed it to just the red ones. I put down a couple of rugs and then I put some open shelving in the kitchen. The 3 rugs in one small space was probably a little bit much, but I needed a doormat and like a sink mat, and then one for underneath the dining table as well. That one was custom content. And then I started just cluttering up the shelves on the top of the fridge. I needed tool mod to lower down the bread bin on the fridge there. I put some wall decorations up, and I got some artwork on the shelves as well as the bits of clutter. Obviously there was a lot of the kitchen clutter kit in here, and then I got this sort of autumn horn thing that I think is a Thanksgiving decoration, and I just put that on one of the cabinets at the back, and then got some artwork and a plant in the corner before I moved on to the entryway. I decided to get a chess table in this space. I put some base game chairs in, and then I started using the Grange mudroom kit in the orange swatch, at which point I decided the wallpaper needed to change, so I went for a lighter cream colour that fit a lot better with all of the other colours, and I put some yellow curtains up with the curtain rail above them from Desert Lux. I just did the usual entryway cluttering, a lot of Grange mudroom, a coat rack. I finally found the pumpkins and got those outside on the porch in a few different sizes and colours. And then my usual preferred clutter from Comfy Gamer, Everyday Clutter, Grange Mudroom, and the Refined Living Room kit. The doormat is from a rewards event as well, and I put a CC rug underneath the chest table before putting some bookshelves on the wall opposite, and I added a little mirror in the corner as well. The shelves were from the Book Nook kit, and I just cluttered the spaces in them and then put some more of that artwork up that I'd downloaded as CC. I got the rewards event frame TV up with an autumn swatch on it, and I put orange Grange mudroom cabinets around it. I put the Grange mudroom bench outside, and I came back and cluttered it and put the rug from the same kit in there as well, and the wall art and lights. For the living room furniture, I ended up using a mix of Cozy Kitsch and Enchanted by Nature. There were just some really nice red and yellow swatches in there, and then I got to put an enormous plant from Businesses and Hobbies in the corner, which I very rarely get to use, and a little radiator along the wall there as well. I moved into the bedroom and I used a Seasons bed, but I used some Grange mudroom cabinets to make a custom bed head for it. I used a dresser from Get Famous in here. I was sticking more to a green and orange colour scheme, trying to tie in some of that green on the walls. There's a custom content mirror, chair and desk in here because I downloaded it all specifically for this autumn build, and that's actually a toddler stuff rug which just fit nicely. I added a base game fire and the same frame TV again but in a different swatch. There's an indoor bin, so I covered all the bases, and then I started cluttering up the desk in the bedroom with all the usual suspects as well as some fall leaves, everything in reddish orangish colours. And then I put some curtains up as well. They are base game, but I used the Desert Lux curtain rail to bring them all together, and then I started putting up a load of the custom content art that I'd downloaded that's all sort of autumn pictures, and I put a wreath above the door as well. I went back out to the kitchen with some aprons and to move some clutter around, and then in the bedroom I actually made a sort of a custom curtain with these bits of CC decoration. Another wreath went outside, and then I just filled in some gaps with plants and things. I did end up putting some more clutter on this dresser, including a custom content light, and then I wanted some small curtains for the bedroom windows, so I used cats and dogs ones. They are a little bit strange because they stick out quite far from the window, but I like the swatches. And then I just added a few custom content pillows as well as a smaller batch of the pumpkins to the top of the bed, and I moved on to the bathroom. It's heavy on the CC in here as well. Probably the worst of the rooms because the shower is from Lovestruck, but just about everything else, including decoration, is CC items. I was mostly going for a red colour scheme in here with accents of yellow. I've recently used this tile in a video that I don't think I'll have uploaded yet when I put this one up, and I've got trauma from it because it was a randomised colour video and it went awful with the other colour I'd randomised. So it was nice to do a build where it did look good. I've got some little bits from Sleek Bathroom Kit there and a Grange mudroom mirror which I just moved up on the wall with tulle. There's a Sleek Bathroom set of shelves here, and I've got the robes on the wall, so there are still elements from actual packs, but a lot of stuff like the paintings that I'm just putting up now are custom content because I desperately wanted something that fit the theme better than the stuff I had in game, and it really looked nice in the end. Once I'd added all the artwork in the bathroom, I found a couple of bits that I wanted to put in the bedroom as well, so I just went back and filled those gaps, and then I started looking at the backyard. I was originally going to put the decoration box out there, but I ended up putting it on the front porch. I put out some wind chimes and the flower arranging table back there as well, and then I got brave and decided I was going to make a pond. It's hard to mess up a circle, but under normal circumstances I would, so I was actually quite happy with how it turned out. I put some terrain paint on it, and then I got a load of low-lying greenery to put around the edges, and some of these items that turn up in live mode that just look like squares in build mode. So I did take pictures of them in the end with the effects on. I put a pumpkin carving station out there, and then I got a little grill and a bench, and some decorative holiday lights from Seasons as well. I just put a side table out there and a picnic basket and a couple of planters to fill in some space. And I just put that last little bit of terrain paint under everything there, and I was basically done, so I enjoyed the screenshots. Thanks for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe.